Hi, I'm Braden, and I want to give an update on my Celtic knot editor, which is now version 0.4. So I added a few new things, which are 3 new buttons and a menu bar, but I'll talk about the menu bar after. First, I'll talk about the new buttons. So if I hit show, highlight the tiles, I can click forward diagonal, and it generates knots that have symmetry across this line right here. If I click backward diagonal, it generates knots that have symmetry across this line right here. And then if I click full symmetry, it generates knots that have dihedral symmetry with n equals 4. Basically, symmetry that's called D4, the full symmetry of a square. So these might be the most useful if you want to generate the, let's say, most amount of symmetry you possibly can. That would be full symmetry right here. That being said, these do only work for squares. So if you try this on a rectangle, they won't show up. All right. Let's go back to generating on squares. Let's generate for a little bit, and I like this one. So I'll go File, Save, or I could do Control S, save that, and then I will save it as, what's a good name? Test. I could either save it as a K3 knot, or I could save it as a text file. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. It saves it exactly the same, just gives it a different file extension. K3 knot is just a good way of flagging it as this is a knot file. So I'll save this as test, and then I'll keep on generating. But while I'm generating more, I realize I'll never have anything as good as what I just made. So, fine. I'll go back, File, Open, or Control O, and I will click on this. Now, this does accept both K3 knot and text files, again. But this file is a K3 knot, so that's right there. I will open it, and we're back to where we were before. And just to prove that it actually does work, or that it actually is saving just as regular text, I will navigate to that folder on my other screen for a moment. So here's that folder. I will open up an instance of Notepad. I will drag that in there, and here we have that knot. So it's just plain text. If I go back to my regular that I use, Roboto Mono, just text. That's all it is. So that's how that works. If you have any ideas for other features you think might be interesting in this program, I would be all ears for it. I do have some ideas that I'm still going with, but if you have any that I may or may not have thought of, please let me know. So those are all the features in the new 0.4. Something that's really interesting that I noticed, though, is that I think there's a memory leak when it comes to opening and closing the file dialogues for the open and save commands when it pops up the other window, and I will show you what I mean right here. I'll pull over Visual Studio, and I'll load that. So I have this going right here. And if you check the memory, now this might just be me not knowing what I'm doing, and if anyone here has experience in WX widgets or in C++ in general and could help me with this. So when I actually I don't even need to do this. I can file open, let's say, and the memory spikes, which is fine. But then when I close this, the memory goes back down, and that's normal. But it doesn't go down all the way, and maybe that's okay. But the problem is that when I keep opening, now it spikes higher, and it doesn't drop down as far. It's slightly above. And if I keep doing that over and over, I think it sets a new resting point. Like, it's slightly higher. 14.8 megabytes versus, what was that? 13.4. So I think there's a memory leak here. I don't think it's a huge memory leak, but I think it's here. So if anyone knows how to fix that, I personally don't. So with that being said, thank you for watching this.